All right. Here we are. Happy Tuesday. We are live. I wanted to do this today. I thought this would be super relevant to what's going on with COVID and everything, because I've had countless people that I know either directly or indirectly affected by this. And of course, they may not have a loved one who's, gone into the hospital and stuff. But of course, it gets them thinking about, well, gosh, what if? And do we have things planned? Especially on the estate side, whether it's a trust or family planning, whatever it is. So lo and behold, I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to bring in Chantal. Is it Chantal?
Chantal. Everybody said Chantal.
I don't screw it up.
Don't worry. You won't be the first or the last person. Don't worry. I screwed up sometimes.
But I thought it'd be totally relevant. And you've helped our family out in some planning and stuff. So I thought who better to bring on and kind of do some Q&A, talk about some top things to avoid, good things, bad things about estate planning for you and your family. So that way, if anybody out there is interested, here you go. So, and I'm going to try and manage some of the comments and stuff that are coming across as people. So if you're watching this right now and you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments. We can see them live. I can bring you on the screen with your comment and or question, and then we can help get it answered and go from there. So take it away.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Chantal Duisters. I'm one of the managing partners with Duisters Parvizi. We are an estate planning law firm, and we also handle probates, trust administration, and some business formation. But right now, more than ever, we are definitely focusing on estate planning. So, Justin, thank you for setting this up. I think it's a very crucial time to discuss this. I actually think it's always a crucial time to discuss this, but when events like this occur in our world or in our life, they seem to kind of give us that fire to get the important things set up. Unfortunately, we are not, we don't live forever. And I think that's a mentality most of us like to have. I know myself included. These are topics that nobody wants to discuss, because if we discuss it, sometimes there's this emotional component that, why am I planning my death? Why am I talking about these things? And then we get hit with things like COVID-19, where you're really left no choice. And, life's short. It's precious. And I think we're seeing that more than ever. Here one day, gone the next. People that I see, I'm sure you do too, Justin, you've posted people in our community, our colleagues, sick with the virus, maybe not passing away, and a lot of us have lost a loved one. So estate planning is one of those things that we really want to encourage people not to do when it's too late. It should really be done way before. So I like to be optimistic and think there is good coming out of this, and the good would be that a lot of people are thinking about these important things, and they're thinking about their family. They're thinking, hey, what happens if we're gone? What's going to happen to our children? What's going to happen to our legacy? And what are actually the necessary steps, or how does this whole process work? Where a lot of people are confused with this. So it's kind of good to step in and maybe provide some clarity, provide some comfort during this uncertain time. Everybody's scared, and if we can do our part, to comfort people, then that's definitely what we want to be doing.
So, somebody's looking at, let's presume somebody does not even have a trust set up. What would be the next steps? You can actually take that live call.
Sorry. Hey, thanks.
But, what would be the first steps if somebody doesn't have a trust and a will and all the kind of pieces of that puzzle that go together in the estate planning process? I mean, what would be the first step?
So that's a good question. So I really want to touch on the fact you shared a great article with me earlier this week from the Wall Street Journal. And I actually saw another colleague of mine post the same article. And, I have dealt with it prior to this, pandemic that's occurring, and I'm dealing with it now, and so is my business partner. But a lot of people want to start somewhere, and a lot of times they want to start by themselves, whether that be LegalZoom, whether that be, a will writing app. And if I could advise everybody not to do that, I would say the starting point would be to contact a couple lawyers, someone you're comfortable with, set up, many of us do free consultations and discuss kind of your family situation, what it is you're trying to accomplish. there's not a one size fit all. So you really need to consider what it is that you actually need. You know, it might not be a will. A lot of times it's not a will that you need. And I think, you know, Justin, to touch on that article you sent me, a lot of people are just going right now and saying, I'm going to draft a will. I'm going to draft a will just in case. And unfortunately, in most cases nowadays, a will leave you back to where you were prior to the will, and you should really have a trust in place. So
well, yeah, you were explaining that to me, because even though, you know, we can technically, I had a trust prior, as you know,
yes,
and you updated it with an amendment. And of course, I'm thinking, oh, I can just draft an amendment. You read some stuff online, I can do a quick amendment. But what you're not realizing is that those documents don't all link together correctly. You may actually be doing yourself a disservice. And then, of course, then you end up in court because of a probate, and what you were trying to accomplish, which was to protect you and your family and assets and so forth, ends up going into the state, and the government can take it from you because of some nuances in the language.
Well, and that's exactly correct. I like to say, you know, we didn't go through the schooling, we didn't get the law school debt, we didn't take the bar exam for no reason. There is a method to the madness, absolutely.
Do you get Elena's question right there up on the screen?
No, what is the thought? Okay, my thought.
You're live, Elena. You're watching this. Good. So here's a question. You get to answer it.
You know, it's funny. I have a lot of LegalZoom clients, and I like to give them credit. I hate to bash people. So when they come to me or they ask me about LegalZoom, the first thing I do is compliment them for having their mind in the right place, because they're thinking about these things. And, you know, I'm not here to bash LegalZoom, but like you said, Justin, it's very easy to go onto LegalZoom or will writing software and draft the document you need, thinking you're doing what it is you actually need. But there are so many steps that follow that, whether that's properly titling assets or making sure if you have minor children that, you know, the correct terms. It's not a blanket document. It really should be a one size fits all. So I would advise against LegalZoom as much as possible. I know my colleagues would as well. It's going to end up costing you more money in the end to have us fix it.
Sounds good. That's a good answer. So maybe maybe the top 3 or 5 things that you can think of that would be tips when you're planning it. So you're going in, you're getting your documents, talk to an attorney. They can start setting up your, you know, the trust. And what are the different documents that go with the trust package?
So I'm glad you brought that up too, because now more than ever, I actually think a lot of the other ones are extremely important. So most estate planning attorneys will do what's called a comprehensive estate plan. They'll do your trust, your will, again, if it's applicable to your situation, your healthcare directive, your power of attorney for financial matters, and then of course, guardianship designation. With that being said, I think we are all hearing how tragic it is that family members are not able to visit any sick family in the family in a lot of situations. I know not in every situation. So now more than ever, I advise everybody to have a healthcare directive that allows and appoints who you want to make healthcare decisions in the event that you're unable to and you're incapacitated. Again, it's not as easy now with, you know, having a family member or 10 family members there trying to make those decisions if you're unable to. So make sure to get your healthcare directive drafted. Even if you think you're in the best health, this is a reminder. As far as power of attorney goes for financial matters, a lot of people get those confused because the healthcare is oftentimes called a power of attorney as well. So power of attorney for financial matters, extremely, extremely, extremely important. It is a lifetime document. So it operates when you're alive, but only upon incapacitation. So let's say I cannot handle my financial affairs. Well, who do I trust to, you know, go into the bank and take all my money out, or sign checks for me, or contact my credit card company, or pay, you know, I don't know if anybody would be nice enough to pay my bills for me, but at least
hey,
I would like to think my
these days just ask for a little bit of PPP loan,
right?
maybe a little emergency declaration loan from the government. I mean, they're handing out some money, so
I know they are. I know I joke with my family, and, you know, I'm like, oh, I'd like to think you guys would do that for me, but here's my bank accounts if not. So yes, the trust, the will, power of attorney for financial matters on incapacitation, health care for incapacitation, and then guardianship designation. Everyone should have a designation for their minor children.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Maybe some pitfalls that you kind of see talking about some past stories.
I have a lot.
Good and bad, but things that you would say, hey, look, avoid this because this is something I've dealt with in the past and I've seen it come back to bite people.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
I have some good ones. So one of the first ones is avoid thinking that you just need a will. I like to say that the film industry and probably, laws in the past have made us think, oh, we just have a will. I leave everything to my loved one. That's not how it works. A lot of times you need more than a will, which I've already touched on. A lot of times you need a trust, especially if you own a home or you have minor children. So avoid just thinking you need a will. I cannot tell you time and time again, clients who say, oh, I already have a will. See, I already have a will. And when you start diving into, well, what's your family situation? What are your assets? You realize very quickly that this will end them right into probate. So definitely avoid that. Another huge problem that I see is whether it be that they try to do it on their own or they don't follow through, but a lot of people will get as far as getting their trust documents set up. But what they do is forget to fund their trust. So just to kind of explain, because a lot of people say, well, what does funding of your trust mean? What that means is once you create a binder of documents, and I always hold up the documents, I'm like, they're just documents right now. You have to go through the retitling process. So if you own a home and you've created a trust, but the home is still in your name or yours and your spouse's name, you haven't done your job or your attorney hasn't done the job. The house actually needs to be re-recorded to the name of the trust. If not, we end up in probate with our clients. So I see that a lot. It's very unfortunate to have clients come to me and say, well, look, I did my trust, but now I'm having to go to probate, or my parents did a trust. Look at it. It's here.
Yeah, to touch on that, you just dealt with that with my mom because of her house, right? Yeah. And she didn't have her house yet in the name of her trust. And of course, I start freaking out. You're freaking out. You're like, get it in the trust like yesterday. And I understand we have all the documents set up for your mom, but her house is not in her trust. Get it in her trust. So you're like emailing like every day, get the house in her trust. So
it happens all the time. And what people don't understand is we're trying to avoid probate. I mean, courts are closed right now. There was already like an incredible wait time to get hearing dates. And now just forget it. That wait time is avoid probate at all costs. Yeah, Justin, like you said, it's like, okay, well, you have a trust, but what assets do you have that are not in your trust and why are they not? And I mean, I've seen so many situations. One thing that is extremely, extremely important is there are so many people, whether it's they have a professional corporation or, dentists, doctors, and they'll create their estate plan. But somewhere something gets messed up or something's forgotten to, decide, well, how do I plan for my business? Again, depending on what the scenario is, and it is a case by case. It's not a one size fits all. You really need to consider, well, what happens to my business if I'm gone? Does my dental practice get sold? Do I have a buy-sell agreement? Or wait, should this be part of my estate plan? And that, again, is why I advise individuals not to go try to do this on their own or LegalZoom, because you're going to miss a lot of advice that a professional would provide to you.
Makes a lot of sense. Let's see if you have any more questions.
I'm trying to think. Let's see. So avoid just going on a will writer. Talk to an attorney. Definitely fund your trust. Again, the guardianship one's huge. A lot of people don't realize that if the parents are gone and it hasn't been designated, that they will be in foster care. And, Dustin, I know you're home right now, quarantined with your wife and your kids. So I'm sure you both have discussed that. I mean, it's an important one.
So I remember like on the bank account side,
yes.
Like you'd mentioned if you're going to have a bank account in the name of the trust and so forth, then make sure you actually go to the bank, because just adding it to your, number A schedule or whatever it is, you actually need to have the bank account have the name of the trust assigned to it. So that way, whoever your trustees are, in the event of something happening, can go into the bank, like you said, and get access. Is that how I understand that?
Well, so many people get hung up upon their schedule being attached to their trust. Well, my schedule says these assets are in my trust. My Schedule A, but let's face it. I mean, already, Justin, you amended your documents with me, and both your children are minors, correct?
Correct.
So life is going to progress. Life is going to change. We come into assets, we lose assets. And, it's not, again, it's not a one size fits all. So you should not be focused so much on your schedule as you should of making sure the assets are properly titled the way they need to be. Now, speak to an attorney, because having minor children and how you title your assets to the trust may be drastically different to if you have adult beneficiaries and how you choose with your attorney to plan around that. And then there's retirement accounts that are done very different than your typical checkings or savings or life insurance. So you're correct. Don't get hung up on the schedule. It's great to kind of have everything all together, but please seek advice. And, one of the things that I've also seen, and now is the time to do it. A lot of people say to me, and rightfully so, well, what do I do with this document? Are you going to go file it at court, or are you going to go record it somewhere? And that's not how estate planning works. So if you're in the process of setting up an estate plan, or if you've already done an estate plan and you have it sitting on your shelf, I really, really advise you to please share those copies with the individuals you've named in the document. Another thing that I see very often is, family members come to me and they say, my parents passed away. I know they had set up documents, but I can't find them. I don't know where they are, but I know they did it. And unfortunately, if you never find them, you're back in probate. So please, if you can, take this time. We're quarantined. We have time on our hands, a lot of us. I know parents don't, who are now learning how to be teachers, but, take this time. Try to make copies of those documents. Try to make electronic copies. Revisit those documents and say, are these up to date? Do I want to disinherit one of my kids now? Or it happens, I've had a few of those.
You're like, do I want to write them off the will? Maybe.
I have some interesting stories that we could have like a whole nother video chat another day for that. But these are realities, but we kind of put it on our shelf and we don't revisit it. And you could have more children, or someone you've named could pass away and you might not have a backup. So now's the time. Gather your financials. If my parents were to pass away, I would have to search through the house and try to find, okay, where are all the accounts held? I mean, now I know, because this is my field, so I've stressed the importance, but a lot of people don't know. Is there a Wells Fargo account? Is there a life insurance? Where's the retirement held, if there even is a retirement? So really gather things, put it all together. You don't need to provide your financial information to your children or your beneficiaries, but at least give them some guidance.
Someone was asking for your contact info, so I just threw it up there. Look at that.
Yes. So
Edgar, it's streaming across the bottom for you. You can check it out. If you have any questions for her, you can reach out and do that end of it. I got a couple more questions here.
I'm glad you did that.
This is a long one. Let me see if I can get it up there. I'm an EVP. Not sure what that means. I'm not an expert on that one. Property tax appeal company for properties. How well versed are you in making sure any changes of ownership do not trigger a reassessable event? Property tax laws, blah, blah, blah. You can read it.
So perfect timing for that question, actually, Anthony. I am becoming an expert over these last couple of weeks on this topic. I have a specific situation that I'm handling with my business partner with some trust administration that has really caused us to dive really deep into the tax assessment laws, and they are very, very tricky. So, feel free to contact me and I would help. I have some whether it be some blogs or some email information that I could try to share or try to provide some assistance in that.
And it looks like you have a family member, I'm guessing by the last name. Is that your sister?
Yes.
All right. So Vanessa, how are you, by the way? Is it possible to set up an estate plan during the quarantine?
My sister Vanessa is wishing there wasn't a quarantine so I could be babysitting her kids. Yes, it's absolutely possible. That's a great question, actually, and I'm glad she brought it up. New York, I think a couple weeks ago, they passed that notaries could be virtual. Very interesting. I don't know how that really works out, but we've had a surge of clients right now. And the best ways that we're going about it. There are some clients who really insist on wanting to meet with us, which I understand, but for the most part, everybody's doing their part and wanting to stay safe, especially some immunosuppressant clients. So we're kind of taking the virtual approach. We handle all our consults, whether it be a phone call, whether it be a FaceTime. And then from there, if you'd like to move forward, a lot of the work could be done through email correspondence and, FaceTime reviews. However, I just don't want people to think that's it, because these documents are only as good as they are if they're notarized, and we still have to meet with a notary. My business partner and I are notaries, so before this whole pandemic, we were notarizing, and we're still offering that, taking very safe steps to do so. But most things could be done. The bulk of the time could be done on.
I'd like to see if there was. I mean, this would be the technology of the planet. If there was a way to virtually notarize, I don't know. I mean,
so and the governor of New York approved that, I believe. And I tried looking into it, and I was trying to think how that would work, and if it's like a get out of jail free card, that if there's lawsuits in the future, it's like, well, that was during COVID-19, and then you just let it slide. We definitely are not allowing that here. It's very difficult for me to think how that could work successfully. So again, we could do the bulk of the work, the review that we would typically do in person, we could do over the phone or FaceTime. But when it comes time to notarize, whether you choose to go to a bank or get a mobile notary or have us come to do it, you will have to have some interaction. So we try, again, whether it's wearing masks or gloves and keeping our distance, we're really doing our best.
Awesome. I think if we have any other questions around here. Is there anything you kind of want to add because we talked about the kind of the pitfalls, the good and the bad, things to avoid. I learned some things, even though I've had past trust experience, things need to get updated. And I thought I could just go do a quick amendment, and found out, screwed that one up pretty good.
No, I was proud of you. It was a good start, but it was important, but it would not.
That was last year. I mean, that was what, a year plus ago. And then obviously dealing with my mom recently, and you helping her out on that end. So, and I'm sure there's more coming. So definitely nice to kind of learn some things that I had no idea about, and making sure that heaven forbid anything happen, that there's not a problem.
Being in the real estate market, I'm sure you see a lot of times too, clients who do not have their houses in trust. And then something that I actually ran into, and this would be, it would pertain to your industry, is I had a really weird situation. I don't know if you've ever ran into anything like this, but a realtor called me, and a couple was in the process of purchasing a house, and in the midst of that, one of the individuals became incapacitated.
Oh wow! I've had that happen one time.
Well, and the problem is they did not have their documents. So this, wife was calling me frantic and saying, my husband needs to sign. I need a power of attorney. I need a power of attorney. And it's like, how do you tell someone? How do you have the heart to tell someone? It's too late. You cannot get a power of attorney for someone who doesn't have the capacity to understand or know what they're signing. So, really, I think the biggest message that I'd like to get across, and again, there's some, I try to be optimistic in all this, this uncertainty that's occurring. And one of the things that I just would like to encourage people, don't be afraid to contact attorneys. I think we are, all out here to try to help. And I think whatever field we're in, if we're able to help, we should be. So I know people are financially strained right now. I know people are scared. And I know my business partner and I are doing whatever we can to provide assistance to those, so they could feel, secure and content. And just don't be intimidated by calling. Don't be scared to do it. We're here for you. We're doing everything on our ends, and I know everybody else is as well. So don't wait. Don't wait. Again, we don't live forever. So I'd like to think we do. I like to think I will.
Well, I figure, hey, if I can get to 80, that's a win.
Right? I know.
I'm looking at. I know that by then, who knows, we'll live to like 190.
Well, my 20s were really good. Everybody tells you your 30s are better. So I'm like, can we just Pause right here. I think I'm good here. I like my 20s too.
Hey, Mr. By the way, thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm actually reaching out to people in the industry, around the industry that, right now people are just looking for some good info. And it's a great time to learn new things, to be honest with you. The things you may not have known before, or things that can help you out, whether it's with planning, setting things up. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've met that are doing like house projects, these things that have been put away for 2-3 years plus, and now all of a sudden they're, building chairs and re-landscaping their backyard and painting their garage, and I don't know, building their kids' room or whatever the heck it is. But it's pretty funny how like all those all the pet projects you've put aside are now getting done, which is great. I mean, it has huge benefits.
And that's the optimism, because as like difficult as this is, I always say, put life in perspective. It could always be worse. And it's always, there's somebody out there who has it way worse. But I joke because, I've been able to catch up on this Tiger King series, and I've been able to do some things that I've been wanting to do, get done, whether it's, closet clean outs or learning new recipes. So it's not all bad. If we could just kind of, be positive through all of this and just everybody stand together. And, again, Justin, I really encourage people to feel free to call my law firm and speak to my business partner. And we are more than happy to provide any insight that we can right now. Or, we're doing a lot of reviews of documents for people at no charge for people who've already have their estate plan in place. I had a couple contact me last week, and I'm revising theirs, and we were on a phone consult, and I was telling them what their current trust said. And the husband interrupted it. He's like, no, that's not what we wanted. And I said, well, it was 30 years ago, so you may not remember, but that may have been what you wanted at the time.
You started a fight.
Yes. Well
done.
I mean, he just was like, I don't know why the attorney did that. And, in all fairness, 30 years ago, there must have been, I could think of a few valid reasons it was done the way it was then, but life changes, wishes change. So have your documents reviewed. We love doing it.
Awesome. Well, that kind of gets us right to around that time.
Yes.
If somebody has any other questions and stuff, obviously Chantal's info is at the bottom there. Feel free to reach out to her. Any other further questions? But I thought this was awesome. Thank you so much for answering a few of those questions. I thought this would be super valuable for people just on the estate side with everything going on and the amount of questions I've gotten from folks about it and dealing with it, even though they may not be directly or indirectly affected by it. They're thinking about it. They're like, oh, crap. Like, I either have stuff in place or I don't, or we need to redo it or look at it. Now's the time to do it. So
now's
very, very, very relevant.
Now's the time. If you have loved ones, obviously not right now, but we always did hospital calls. We do that for our clients. Sometimes people can't, aren't mobile, but right now that's obviously not the case. But if you do have family members that have capacity that are in the hospital and you need to speak to us or talk about their situation, please feel free. Again, we're all kind of in this together. It's all our new temporary reality. So I think if we can make the best of it, and we have a lot to learn on, I know with you being in an essential business now with people, in the process of moving homes and they were in the middle of, relocating and selling. And, we all have an importance to our life and there's a need for something, and we're all out here to help each other. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chantal. And wave goodbye.
Thank you very much. This was awesome, Justin. And again, everybody feel free to contact me if need be.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Everybody, bye.